Welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Chris Moore. He is an author, dynamic keynote speaker, leadership consultant with 25 years of plus years of experience, founder of Maximum Impact, and Chris guides small businesses and big businesses in aligning business with strategy, vision with strategy, building high performance cultures, and driving results. He's also an author. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Thank you, Ajay. I appreciate being here.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show. Welcome to India in this online form, Chris. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk right now. We'll talk about how one can transform their business vision into results. But before we talk about this, let's understand a bit more about your journey, your background, so that people know who they are listening to.
So I've had the blessing and honor to work in a lot of different industries at different levels. I've worked for a Japanese trading house, and through that was able to do some consulting for Nissan, for GM, for some large manufacturers, several steel manufacturers around the country. I actually moved out of that business into the oil and gas exploration business, ended up in a company where we drilled wells, ultimately built pipelines, bought and sold some different areas and companies. And so got kind of involved with private equity. From there, exited that industry and ended up actually going into franchising, working for a large franchisor here in the United States and Canada. And because of that, I got to see a lot of businesses. And my role was really to go into some of these areas that were struggling, with owners that were struggling, and help them turn around their business and turn around really their entire area for that industry. And it was an exciting thing to see, what worked, what didn't work, especially in a franchise system, because what's interesting, we hear in business about process. You need processes. You need to build processes. That's what's going to make the difference. But in franchise systems, everybody has the same process. They have the same training. They had the same opportunity, yet some fail and some reach extreme success in that same industry with the same tools, same processes. And that really helped me understand what the difference was, and also for myself, why I failed earlier in some of my business endeavors, why I failed as an executive in some areas. And really what started me on this journey was my own failure. I got to a point where I was sitting in a room. My sales manager was across from me. On the phone was multiple project managers in different states, and I was just getting angrier and angrier. And I ultimately reached this point where, I was ready to fire everybody. And I was ready to actually, in my mind, I said something that a lot of business owners do. Maybe I just need to end this business, sell it, and go back and get a real job. And I've heard that from so many people in my time. I've heard that from company executives who, maybe I should just go do something else. They've reached that point. And that really started a soul search for me to try and identify, why was what I thought was my dream turning into my nightmare? And I think a lot of people are that way. I think from the outside looking in, we think, things are going so well. The business is working well. Things are happening, and they're living the dream. And inside, you're not living the dream. You're struggling. You're constantly just working to put out the most recent fire. Can I just get through today? And that's not why we went into business. That's not why we went into management. That's not why we tried to become a leader of people. And so I think part of that imposter syndrome that we have is because on the inside, we know what's really going on with ourselves. And so this concept of turning vision into reality, what I wanted my life to be like, was a struggle and something I really had to work at. And I think over time, I've discovered what that secret is between those that are highly successful and those that aren't, even though they're doing the exact same things.
Right, Chris. So, does the vision become an issue, or the execution of the vision becomes an issue for a leader? How does that work?
So much we start with execution. business owners love tactics. Give me a checklist of things to do. Give me something to go buy and implement, a piece of software or something that's going to change my business. And really, when you go back to it, what you have to start with is that vision. So I was listening to one of your other interviews earlier with Rob Wentz, and he talked about vision. And so much of the material and so much of what we think about vision is our personal vision for ourselves. In my mind, when I go into a business, when I go into a new management role throughout my career, I have this vision of what it's going to be like, and a lot of that is internal. And so as a business leader, we have this vision that's internal. And so you hear a lot of different leaders today. We'll talk about Donald Miller recently. I heard him speak, and he talked about your ability to articulate a vision is how well that's going to succeed. And so what I tell people sometimes is their vision isn't big enough, because that vision is about what they're going to accomplish. Their vision doesn't include their customers. You know, what is this experience going to be for their customers? What does it give to them? We think of that from a marketing standpoint, but where does it change their lives? And then team. What does it mean for our team? What is it like for them to come into work every day? What is their career going to be through this? What is their exit plan if they have to have one? We don't think about our vendors. What is this mutual partnership that we're going to be? When we go out for vendors, we're not sharing a vision of, hey, here's where we're going, here's what we're going to do. And that's where things begin to get into execution. So I met with a group who was really wanting to expand into multiple states. And so they had been looking and had hired a digital marketing person and an advertising person. And when I say person, they had hired a person, one individual working out of their house with very little experience except for what they knew how to do, but had never done advertising for a multi-state organization, for people with different locations in different areas of the country with different ways of speaking. And we see the same thing when national companies try to go international. They don't pick a vendor that is, as an example, in your country, India is quite different than the US. And what is going to sell here and how you present something is going to be totally different in another country. And so if we have that vision where we know we're going to move into other states, we want to expand internationally. When we pick those vendors, we need to have a vision to understand this is where we're going. And at a minimum, pick another vendor that has that same goal. So maybe you do have someone that's really good in your local area, but their plan is to expand into multiple states. You may have a good working relationship. That's really good. They're trying to expand, you're trying to expand, you can build and grow together. But if that person's not, you're just going to hurt your own execution. You're going to fail. And we do the same thing with team members. We do the same thing with customers as we're looking. You know, does the vision for our business, is the customers that we're going for and serve now, does that serve us tomorrow? Well, if not, we have to change the day, because when we try and use that same execution skill that we think works so well, that's really too small for our vision, that's when we start getting into failure.
Right, right, Chris. So you talk about some principles, key principles to turn your vision into reality. If you can tell us about those principles, and also you talk about pre-mortem is for any business leader. Tell us about this pre-mortem and how it can help leaders avoid failure before it happens. Help us understand both
So
these aspects.
a lot of times we let strategy and tactics lead the way. And unfortunately, strategy and tactics are for today. Here's what we're doing. Maybe we have some strategy and tactics that maybe are going to take us through this year. That's about as far as they go. And so we're really stamping out the fires that are happening right now. We're jumping on problems that exist at the moment. When you start using this vision-centered focus to drive strategy, things change. So if I have gone through a process and developed a really clear, concise vision, the pre-mortem is one of the best tools that you can use to accomplish that vision. So what the pre-mortem is a concept that they really use a lot in IT project management. It's a risk management type tool. What are the things that are going to keep us from from accomplishing our goal? What are all those risks? But we can change that pre-mortem a little bit. So I grew up, watching a lot of different medical shows and those sort of things, and we're used to what's called the post-mortem, the autopsy, and we see a lot of TV shows now based on we're going back and we're using science to look at someone who has passed away and figure out what are the events that took place that brought them to this moment. So the pre-mortem is kind of the same idea. What we're going to do is actually look at the end of our vision and work our way backwards. So in the pre-mortem, we imagine we are at the end of this 10, 20, 25-year cycle, and we have a conversation starting with everything went great. We achieved our vision. What are the things that happened that got us here? And so when we think about some of those things, some things that we think about their luck. We met the right person. We had a CEO of another company that kind of became our mentor and led us through this. We found a celebrity who was going to become our spokesperson for our brand. We had all these different events that took place. We merged with another company. We merged with a larger company. We were taken over, or we took over another company. We tell these stories. And so what we end up with is milestones in the future, that here are the kind of our big rocks that we need to hit. And so we also then take another moment to look, and we imagine that everything failed. What went wrong? What happened? We weren't engaged. We lost sight of what we were doing. We ran out of cash. There's all these different things that we can come up with what they are, and what those end up being are the things that are the risks that we need to adapt our plan for. That, okay, cash is an issue. If we want to buy another company, but we don't have enough money to do so and take on too much debt, and the economy happens, or what just happened, a couple of years ago, the COVID pandemic changed business. There's a lot of businesses that didn't survive because they had too much debt. They didn't have a plan for if things went badly, even for a few months. And so we end up using the pre-mortem to help us see what are the things that we should work on that are long-term. If I want to meet a CEO, I need to meet somebody in this organization, or even with a specific organization. It's so easy today now to go on LinkedIn, go on a company social, and see what events are they going to. For smaller businesses that want to meet certain people, one of the things that I have done with a client that I'm consulting with, we'll pick up the phone. I'll ask him who is the best person in this industry, or who is it that you want to meet? And I will call that company. Hey, I'm with so-and-so. We're trying to find an accounting group to work with. Who we know that you have a really great reputation in this city. Who's the accountant that you work with? And they'll tell you. That's who my accountant's going to be, because that accountant is going to introduce me to this other person. I can see how they're doing business. I get the same advisory group. I can find out what conferences they're going to, or what gym they go to, and I can meet that person. So this thing of luck of meeting a certain person, I can influence that by putting myself in the right situation, the right place to meet those people. If you need a celebrity to represent your brand, and you have someone in mind that you're thinking of, you can contact that person if you really have a desire to. I have a friend who's an actor that acts in movies, and we got separated for several years. He moved, I moved, we changed phone numbers, and I ended up going to the Internet Movie Database, imdb.com, found his listing, was able to go through and find his agent, gave his agent a call, and just said, hey, I've been friends with this person. We went to high school together. We lost touch. Can you give him my cell phone number? It's as simple as that. I didn't hear from the agent. I heard from the person. He gave me a call. We got reconnected. You can get a hold of people that you never thought that you could have if you're thinking far enough ahead with your vision to then enact that vision, take some of those steps. And those points of execution aren't about, I'm going to install a new phone system, or I'm buying this piece of software. These are the things that make such a difference, where vision helps you define the execution, because you're finally executing on the things that will take you to that vision, that dream that you have, and you can turn it into a reality.
Absolutely. And so how do we know that we are communicating, or we have communicated the vision rightly in the way it is, in the way it should be to our team? How do we test that?
So there are two things. Is number one, you should feel like you are talking about it too much. If you don't feel like you are constantly repeating yourself, you're not talking about it enough. But there are four questions that I usually like to teach people about communication, whether it's advertising, whether it's emails that you put out, if it's a job description, whatever it is. There's four questions that, if you think about, even currently, brands that have made mistakes about their messaging or that have alienated their team, if they had run through these four questions before they did this, they would have avoided all of it. And the first one is, does this represent our vision for our company? And if you look at a lot of messaging, you can honestly say it doesn't represent, or it doesn't say anything about our vision. Well, why not? Why not take this opportunity to describe something? If it's a vision about what your company is going to accomplish, what your customers are going to accomplish, take that opportunity. And then, what does this say about us and our brand? We may say that we're customer service focused, but we may send out an email in such a tone or in such harsh wording that we're no longer about customer service. We're about being right. So does this fit in with our brand? Is it of the excellence that we want of our brand? Does it speak to our customer? And then two, what does this say about our team? What is it that we think about our people? Does this, if our goal, if our vision is for our team to be empowered to make decisions, does what we're putting out say that our team is capable of making decisions, that we trust our employees? There are things that we put out to our team where we may not be thinking of it this way, but how will they receive it? Is this belittling for them? Is this going to raise them up to better performance, or is this really going to knock them down? And the last one is, what does this say about our customers? And we've seen a lot of branding that or a lot of messaging sometimes that is to a specific group, and because of what we say and the way that we say it, we alienate a different group of our customers. Now, if we mean to do that because we're going into a different direction, and this is the customer base that we want because we're changing the direction of the company based on our vision, I have companies that I work with that they are really wanting high-end, wealthy individuals. That's what they're going for. All right, their messaging to that group may alienate somebody who is struggling to buy food that week. And yet you may work with a nonprofit whose messaging is trying to go to the people that are struggling so that they will ask for help. We have help. We need you to ask for help. That messaging is going to be different. So what does this say about our customers? And is that what we want to say about our customers? And is it to the customer that we're trying to serve?
Absolutely. There is much to learn from you about these, and so let's learn a bit more about all these things from your book, Turning Vision into Reality. Who is this book for? Is it for only the leaders, bigger companies, or also for the smaller business and entrepreneurs?
The concepts work regardless of the concept of the business. I've been in large organizations that are billion to $3 billion a year in revenue, and have met with different C-level executives and asked them what is the long-term vision of the company. And I have gotten different answers from each one, where they think something is different. I've been in smaller businesses that it's the same thing. When you talk to their management leaders, they aren't really aware of what that vision is. And then even how we define our customers, who a customer is, what is the customer that we're going for? These are all things, if you're a leader in an organization or want to be, that if you can figure out and get ahead of, your team is going to perform much better than the team that doesn't know these things, that isn't focusing on the right thing. If you're a small business owner that's trying to scale their business, trying to open up a new location, if you're trying to exit yourself out of the business a little bit where you don't have to be there for everything to happen the way that you want it to, this book will help you get to that point. It's going to help you clarify your vision. It's going to help you make sure that that vision and culture that supports that vision is built into your daily operations so that things will happen the way that you want them to. If you have the right people in place doing the right things, that are thinking in the way that you want them to think, they'll make those right decisions just like you would, even when you're not there. And that becomes the business that you can scale and grow the way that you want to.
Right, right. And one last question is that, does the vision end with one particular company, or does it continue to be with the founders or the people who have created that vision? Should it be just one company specific, or should it be about larger purposes?
If you when you're a small business, you as the owner, the founder, you have to drive that vision. I've been in a lot of areas where people say we want to turn that over to our employees, to our teams, and help them define the vision. But the vision has to start with you because it is your company. There's a saying that there is no I in team. But if you look at the great coaches, at the great leaders, it's their team. Yes, they're sort of a part of it, but I have a responsibility to my team to lead them, to coach them, which means there's a little bit of an outside of that team type of group. If you're a small business owner and you don't like to go to work every day because the people that you work with and how your day goes, it's your fault. It's your responsibility, not the team's. Now, that vision also has to include the ability to grow. And as it grows, you need that input from your team to imagine the things that you wouldn't. Several years ago, I met with a business owner who was thinking of selling his business. He was doing consistently $8 million a year in revenue and making about 20 to 25% net profit at the end of the year for what he was able to take out of the business. An awesome business, but felt like he had really just kind of reached the plateau, that it wasn't going to grow anymore. And so he opened up this discussion to his management team, and down to just the team leads that are more or less on the floor in the warehouse, and those people, and started talking with them. And they're like, no, there's lots of opportunities. We think we can build this to 25 million a year. And in his idea, 10 million was the tops. If he did everything he could and stayed around for another 5 or 6 years, he could maybe do $10 million. And it opened up his eyes to that his vision was, again, too small. The people that he worked with, he had done such a good job of hiring the right people, giving them the vision that he had. They'd reached this plateau, but they could see farther than he could at that time. And he never exited the business. They're still there. They're primarily hands off. The business has more than doubled at this point, and they're enjoying their trips to Italy and Spain and traveling around the world and being away from the business while everything is still not just running, but it's growing. And I think that's the power of vision, is being able to have that, lead it to a certain point, and then let vision carry your team and you along with it to even greater things.
Absolutely. The absolute power of vision. So there's, as I said, there's so much to learn from you, Chris, and I'm sure a lot of people would like to learn from you, about your book, from your book, and also be a part, of your client if they're possible. So what's the best way for them to connect with you?
So what I did was I took the concepts from the book and turned it into a workbook. And actually, if you go to get this workbook, I'm going to give you right now a video series that goes along with it. It explains each section. It's called Vision 360 Builder. You go to vision360builder.com. Just stick in your email address. I will send you that workbook. I'll give you access to the videos, and it'll walk you through each concept. And one of the things it starts with is the Vision 360 exercise, because everybody thinks their vision is enough, that they've thought about it. But it gives you some different things to consider about your vision. Do you think your vision is strong in this? And then go through the rest of the workbook, where it's going to ask you some questions about your customers and what is the culture that you like, that you want to work in, that you want to build, and take you through these things. And then you get to the end and you take that same exercise again, and you'll have a different opinion of where your vision, where you thought it was, what it needed to be, and you'll end up with some actions that you can take. At the very end, it gives you, here's exactly some things that you need to do in the next 3 months, the next 6 months, the next year, that's going to take you towards that vision. And you start sharing this with your team, you'll see a big change in what they know to do, because they suddenly have a direction and a belief and a culture that they didn't have before.
Wonderful.
So,
With this,
vision360builder.com.
absolutely, absolutely. And we'll also include all these details in the show notes as well as YouTube template. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you.